Touryan writes fiction and creative nonfiction that reach for the story beyond the story and the beginning beyond the end. Her complex, realistic narratives often touch on themes of faith. While she avoids gratuitous violence and profanity, keeping any romance clean, she does not shy away from portraying the grit and beauty of real life, instead, writing the truest stories she can, infused with heart and humor. Cate invites you to journey with her into lives both real and imagined, wherein might lie glimpses of your own story, beyond the story, and an ending redeemed. Cate, good morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, Heather. Thank you for having me on.
Of course. Tell us a little bit about Turning Toward Eden and what inspired that story.
Turning toward Eden is very hard for me to label because it's so many things. And it's been a long journey to get here. But what inspired it was that my father had a disabled son in his second marriage, and watching that relationship from between my brother, my half brother, and my father, that relationship was such a beautiful, such a witness of a beautiful relationship that I wanted to capture that in story. And so I started to think about how could I how could I just do something that shows the love for someone that seems so unreachable in so many ways? So he kind of became the inspiration to go ahead and try to come up with a story. And I'm hoping that I did him justice. I'm hoping that that one day when he's healed and whole in heaven, that he'll say, "Did me justice." I hope that happens.
Well, I think you did. It's a beautiful, beautiful story. I'm so fortunate and blessed that I was able to have a little early look at it. And I really enjoyed your, not just the story, but your writing style. You are very gifted. And so I'm excited for the rest of the world to get to read it as well. Tell us how you would define your writing style and why is it important to you that you write, like you said, both the beauty and the grit of real life?
I believe that as Christians, we have an obligation to speak truth.
Mhm.
And sometimes the truth is about the messiness of life, the brokenness, the sinfulness, the just the reality. But it doesn't get the last word. You know, Christ's love is what transforms that. And I don't think we can have a transformation if we come out feeling like, well, we can't look at the ugly or we can't look at the real. Because somehow that's wrong. Because how can you transform if you don't have something to transform from?
Yes, yes.
Right? Yeah. So I just wanted to tell the truth of what it is to be human. It's painful. There's a lot of suffering and there are a lot of trials, as the Lord has said. But He's redeemed. There's just beauty from ashes. And I wanted to be part of that process of looking and sifting through and seeing what God does for us, we can do for others by presenting real life that's meeting real faith. And so I think that's behind the way that I like to write my stories.
I couldn't agree more. I know there are some stories out there that are just very light and very soft and very happy beginning to end, and the trials and the troubles are very minor, and that's good. I mean, there are some people who enjoy that, but I think I agree that it's so important for us to look at what life is really like and still find the hope. You know, if there's
Mhm.
no rain, there's no rainbows. So,
Yes.
yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, are you working on anything else? Do we have a future book to look forward to?
I hope so. I hope so. Depending on how this one does, and it was very hard to categorize because I intended it to be kind of it was always going to be somewhat of a coming of age, but I was gearing it toward young adults. And as I wrote and got more and more into it, I realized it's really more suited, I think, for adults who like coming of age. So depending on how it's received, I might do a sequel for that particular book because there's some loose ends in it. But I'm also working, I love creative nonfiction. In creative nonfiction, you do take actual life events and then you creatively present them as a way of kind of grappling with them. I think writing is a way for artists to take that raw material and create something that gives it significance beyond the pain or the suffering. So I hope to do some more creative nonfiction. I do have this is funny. I have again, a middle grade book that is turning out to be more for adults. I seem to have a thing about that. Like I want to write for kids and then it ends up being for adults. And I think I'm going to finish that one as well. It is also inspired by a family member, and kind of want to do that family member some just kind of as a tribute to his life and what he went through. So yeah, so those are some of the things that are on the back burner.
Well, we have a lot to look forward to then.
I hope so. I hope so.
Well, we're going to jump into what I call the lightning round of questions. However, as I always say, we are authors and we have a lot of words. So nothing ever goes lightning fast, but that's okay.
Good.
All right. What is your favorite genre to read?
I love classics. I love rereading literature. And I love discovering new classics. So anything written well, I really don't have, I can read across genres as long as it's crafted and beautifully written, and character driven. I think I really like character driven stories.
Do you have any favorite authors?
Yes, and it's so funny. I was thinking about that, and I was thinking that the authors, I don't know that they're my favorite, but they're so formative that I go back to them all the time because they formed my childhood understanding of writing. So, I go back to C.S. Lewis or E.B. White, or Lewis Carroll, Ray Bradbury. I love that. I soak that in. But for maybe contemporary writers, I've always loved Amy Tan's style of writing. Harper Lee. I mean, who doesn't love To Kill a Mockingbird?
Right.
So just yeah, I think those anybody who can just maybe write lyrically and profoundly, beautifully, and still and not be I'm not I want to say the word literary, but I don't because I think a lot of people are very frightened that literary means pretentious or dense
The
or
things you're
somehow
stuck learning in school.
yeah, yeah, yes, exactly. So I don't really want to say that, maybe more lyrical or maybe a little bit more definitely want accessible. I want to write in that same way that it is accessible, but there's still a beauty to it. So yeah.
Well, as I'm listening to you share your favorites, I see that I see how those authors and those pieces of work have inspired your own writing. If you had said, "Oh, my favorite is contemporary romance," I think I would be floored because those classics and that rich literature is definitely woven into your story.
Thank you.
So
Yes,
I
yes.
think you have mastered it well.
Thanks, Heather.
Of course. What's your favorite way to spend a quiet evening?
Ah, reading, of course.
Of
I just
course.
reading. Yes.
When you write, are you a plotter or a pantser?
I am a panicster. I start out, I think I'm somewhere between a passionster and a panicster because I start out with such passion. And it's like, I remember when I was in high school, I was going to run a mile and I'd never run a mile in my life. And that first lap around the track, that first of four, I was ahead of everybody. And by the fourth, I was the very last person. That's how I write. I'm like, the first lap, I am just flying. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I don't even know where I'm going and I have no energy left.
I need to
I
pace
panic.
myself.
I panic. Yeah. So yeah, I think I think I'm a very slow writer, and I think most of my writing process happens in my thoughts. So I have to think a long, long, long time about something. So then when I start to write it, it seems to come very fast because I've been thinking about it. But then once it's on paper, I have to slow down and say, wait a minute, now I need to plot this. I'm going to be in a real pickle.
Well, at least you know your method and what works for you.
True. Yeah,
I love listening to
true.
different authors explain their process because we all process these words and these thoughts and these ideas so differently. It's so
So true.
interesting.
Yes, yes.
If you could spend a day as a character in any book, who would it be?
Oh, that's such a hard one because it depends on the day, right? Some days, some days I'm going to be the Count of Monte Cristo, and other days I'm going to be, I don't know, Alice in Wonderland. But I think I would love to be, because of childhood again. I'd love to be Lucy in the Narnia series.
I thought
I
you were gonna say that. I just did. It's so funny.
for two reasons. One, you get to spend time with C.S. Lewis. It's like, oh my gosh, how cool is that? And then two, her adventures keep going and going and going. And it's like, oh, it doesn't have to end. And I think I like both of those.
Perfect answer. It sums you up perfectly. What was your favorite toy as a child?
It was an easy bake oven. Loved that.
Yes, a classic for sure.
Yes.
When you do read something with romance, do you prefer the friends to lovers trope or the enemies to lovers trope?
I think I prefer Friends because I don't know if this is cynical or if this is just realistic, because I just think the way you start out is the way you're going to end. So I like to start out as friends so that if the passion happens to wane or you're with somebody for 45 years, like I've been with my husband, at least we
Aw,
can say we're still friends, right? We're not enemies.
absolutely. That's a really good way to look at it. I like that. What is one goal that you haven't reached yet?
Um, well, one goal. Okay, so I'll give you one and a half. The
Okay.
half is that I would love, as any novelist would, to see the novel become a screenplay or a movie or something like that. But the more realistic goal is that right now, I'm a grandma only to dogs and cats. I would like to be a grandma to real human beings at some point.
Aw.
Grandma, I can't wait for that. Yeah, I would love to get to that goal.
All right. Well, I hope your daughter's watching.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Do you like coffee or tea, or do
Oh,
you have
I'm
a preference?
such a coffee lover. Oh, I'm all coffee. Yes.
Do you like to do anything else crafty or creative?
You know what's so funny about that? I was thinking about it. I'm really just not a very crafty person, except for one thing. I love to bake, and I think it's because of my easy bake oven.
It could be. It could
Thank
be. Again,
you.
like how you start is how you finish, right?
Yeah.
Do you prefer reading on an e-reader or a physical book?
Physical book.
Nothing like holding that paper in your hand.
Yes. And again, it takes me to the childhood, hours and hours and hours with a book. It's back to the it's the comfort zone that you grew up with. So, but I
Yes.
don't mind reading on ebooks either. It's either one, but I do really like the copy of in my hands.
I'm glad we have both options these days.
Yes, I am too. Yes. Yes.
If
So
you
is my
could go back,
husband, or he would have no room in the house if we didn't have them.
exactly. I'm so grateful that, especially if I need a book right now, if I'm trying to
Oh,
look up something and I need it right now,
yes.
it's so nice to
Yes,
just
absolutely.
Kindle download.
Exactly.
If you could go back in time and spend a day in any era, what era and location would you go to?
If to be honest, I would not really want to go anywhere else because I'm so spoiled by the comforts and conveniences of this. I can't even imagine what it would be like to have to live without modern medicine or modern, with electricity. But I think if I were to go somewhere, I would like to go back to probably around 1935 when my mom was born, and I would like to live her child. I'd like to live the world she grew up in. Which was in Jerusalem. So my mom was born in Jerusalem. And
Oh,
I would
wow.
love to be in that world, in that decade when she was growing up, and see what it was all about that shaped her as a child.
Wow, that might be a future book.
Yeah, that could be.
That would be fascinating. That would be so interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
What is your favorite snack?
I am a total, I always tell my husband, if I ever end up on a desert island and I can only have one thing to eat, make sure it's dark chocolate and almonds. That's what I love. Dark chocolate and almonds anytime.
How do you pick names for your characters?
I think I'm very auditory and I love the lyrical sound of names. And so I want it to fall a certain way and sound a certain way, but I also want the meaning to reflect whatever the character traits are as well. So, and I cycle through them a lot. I don't always stick with it really depends on the character. Sometimes it's, boy, that's the name and it stays. Other times it's like, this person is not acting like a Zach. I need to change the name.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that's done that. I'll be so sure of the name, and then halfway through, I'm like, maybe not. You can't help it. Characters change on their own, and they tell you, like, that's not me.
That's right. Mhm.
What's the first concert you ever attended?
Oh, that was a really good question. And I couldn't think of one specifically, but so this doesn't maybe, I couldn't think of it, but this is probably the closest I can come is that the first concert is really evenings in my own home when my mom would play the piano. She was a
Hmm.
pianist, and so she would play, and those to me were concerts. And I think my first concert was probably a classical music concert because I grew up in a classical music family and world. So I can't remember what it was exactly. I think I've been to maybe one rock concert in my whole life. I don't know. I don't think I do concerts except for classical music. And I'm always at the symphony, or I'm always going to a pianist, something and my daughter is a professional pianist, my older daughter. So yeah, I think and it's just my mom. My mom was my first concert in the living room, listening to her in the evenings.
I love that. This has been such a telling question to ask authors. I feel like you can almost tell when somebody grew up, or you can tell what, like who you might have been friends with in high school, or just
I
by
know. Yeah.
what concert they attended first. And so many said, well, it was some Christian singer at my church. I'm like, yep, that was me. I was that kid, some band came to our church. I don't remember.
That's a good
It's
question. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It's so fun. So what's a
Yeah.
book you're excited to read?
I pulled it out, but now I don't know where it is. I just ordered a book called Cathedral. It is by Bill Henderson, and Bill Henderson was one of the founders of the Pushcart Prize. And a recent creative nonfiction essay that I wrote, which is actually about my mom's childhood, was nominated this year for the Pushcart Prize. So I wanted to read about the founder, and this is sort of his memoir as he went through cancer, called Cathedral, and it's about a spiritual journey and building a cathedral to the Lord. So, and it's not even fiction, but I wanted to know a little bit more about him and about that journey. So yeah.
Very cool. It sounds beautiful. What is the most difficult part of the writing or publishing process for you as an author?
Every part of it.
Amen.
This is the hardest part. And then you go to the next stage and you're like, no, I changed my mind. This is the hardest part. It's all I mean, I really, especially with this particular book, there was no shortage of blood, sweat, and tears going into this particular book.
Sure.
Maybe it's like that for most debut novelists, it's your debut novel. So that the blood, sweat, and tears are there. But I think I'm so slow. I'm not a fast writer. And the slowness is very difficult for me because I feel that pressure I got to get this done. I got to put this many words down today. And I don't function. I just don't do that. I have to think, and things have to sit with me a long, long time. And so it's maybe not the most difficult, but it's a very frustrating part of the process. It's just allowing ideas to take their time to form. And I don't know how other people can just turn out books so rapid. I'm just like, that's a gift. I just do not
I
have
know
that. Yeah.
some of these authors get 4, 5, 6 books out in a year, and I'm like, do you sleep?
How do people do that?
I
I
know.
know.
No,
Yeah.
God made us all different. And if I'm going to be happy just to get my first book out, much less 5 or 6 a year.
Exactly. That's how I feel too. I
Yes.
know. Yeah. Yeah.
So, last question. What do you love most about being an author?
I love the quiet communing with the Lord. I feel like it's an act of worship and an act of creative collaboration.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's giving back to the Lord the gift that He gave me. So there's just something about being where you know the Lord put you, using the gifts that He gave you, and creating beauty together. I love that.
Oh, I couldn't have said it better myself. So tell us, where can readers learn more about you?
You can find me under my pen name. My pen name is Cate, Cate, Touryan, Touryan. And my website is just cateturyan.com. It's a pen name because my actual name, which I'm proud of, but it belongs to many people other than to me, including a best-selling New York Times best-selling author. I get her emails constantly. You can find me on Facebook under Cate Touryan Author, or at my website as Cate Touryan Author.
Perfect. Well, speaking of beautiful creative collaboration, I was so excited to get to work with you on this. I know you do not have your book in front of you. It's not arrived in the mail yet, but you'll be getting it soon. That's okay. I'll be able to put a picture of your book right up here, and so our
Wonderful.
viewers will be able to see your beautiful book cover and these earrings.
Oh, I love them. They're so beautiful. They just capture the feel of my book. Beautiful.
I wish the lighting in here was better, but these match your cover just perfectly.
They do. Absolutely.
So
Beautiful.
our viewers and readers, if they want to win a copy of your book and a pair of these earrings, all they have to do is follow you on social media and follow me. Like one of our giveaway posts and comment done in the comments, and they'll be entered to win. And this video and this giveaway will be going live on Monday, and we will draw a winner Wednesday night.
Awesome. Exciting.
Yes. Well, it's so great talking to you. And just again, it's a beautiful, beautiful novel. And I hope everyone watching will pick it up and share it with a friend and just be very, very blessed by your words.
Thank you so much, Heather, and thank you for the collaboration. It's been wonderful to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you.